So the biggest issue I see with upper body pain, shoulders, neck, elbows, wrists, you name it, is not knowing where to start. Everything online feels like a random fix, but that ends today. In this video, I'm gonna run you through simple mobility tests, show you what those limitations mean, and give you the exact exercise progressions based on what you find. These are the same strategies that I use with the over 20,000 clients and patients that I've worked with, and I'm gonna give them to you for free. Most upper body problems result from either a limitation in external rotation or internal rotation, as all movements in the upper body have a rotational component. The following 5 tests can give you an idea of which of those you're limited in. First, shoulder external rotation at 0 degrees. Lie on your back with your knees bent. Have your arm to your side. You only need the top part of the arm to the side. You got a pretty narrow waist, you don't have to wedge your elbow up against your sides. A lot of times you might side bend. That can give you a false positive on the test. Have your elbow bent to 90 degrees and let your arm gently fall out to the side. Normal is about 60 degrees. If you have less than that, or you let your arm drift away from your body, or your elbow straightens, you're limited in that measure. We're gonna look at external rotation next at 90 degrees of abduction. Lie on your back with your knees bent. Get your arm directly out to your side at that 90-degree angle. Let your arm fall back comfortably. If your hand touches the ground, with your wrist extended about 30 degrees, you have a normal test. If you can't do that, your elbow bends, or you arch your back, you're limited in that motion. To look at internal rotation, we're gonna take a look at an Apley scratch test. Look straight ahead. I'm telling you, do not look down as you bring your arm behind your head. Now, everyone still does it, so I'm telling you, don't look down. Take each arm and reach behind you. You should try and touch the opposite shoulder blade. So the bottom arm is gonna touch the bottom of the opposite shoulder blade, and the arm that goes overhead is gonna touch the top part of the opposite shoulder blade. If you can touch these points, you're good. If you can't touch those points, or you look down, or you force your arm up, or you arch your back, you're limited in that test. We're gonna look at how these rotations work in a closed chain or weight-bearing position. We'll use a push-up hold for this. Get in your best push-up position, making sure you're weight-bearing through the base of the wrist. Exhale and push yourself away from the ground. If your body is in roughly a straight line, you're good on that test. If you tend to arch when you get in that position, crunch, or you experience wrist discomfort, you're limited in that test. You can also consider it a limitation if you have elbow hyperextension, meaning your elbows extend well beyond 0 degrees. Now, when you look at these tests together in a cluster, you're likely going to fit into one of the following archetypes. The first, my favorite, you hella stiff. This is you if all of the tests were limited. Next is the person with the arched back, or the flared ribs. These folks have a lot of external rotation at 90 degrees. It's not uncommon for their hand to be flat against the ground. However, the Apley's test is limited. And in the push-up, these folks tend to arch or have lots of elbow hyperextension. You'll also see limitations in shoulder external rotation at 0 degrees. Next is the person who plays World of Warcraft for 36 hours and double fist Mountain Dews. This is you if you're limited in shoulder external rotation at 90 degrees and at 0 degrees. On the push-up hold, these people tend to crunch. The Apley scratch can look pretty good, but that's usually because they're doing some sort of extra movement through the trunk to get into position. And the last archetype is the asymmetrical one. This is the person who has legit side-to-side differences. That means one Apley's test is really limited compared to the other, and you have limitations in shoulder external rotation at 90 and 0 degrees on only one side. Now that you know which camp you're in, let's talk about specific exercises you can use to improve your overall mobility and fix those upper body problems. If, you hella stiff, you're gonna need these exercises. The big key is, if this is you have a lot of muscle activity everywhere in the upper body, and this creates a squeezing force that can limit your rotation. We first want to squeeze in the opposite direction, because what that does is it allows for airflow to better happen into the front and back of the rib cage, which can improve your overall rotational capability and get you way less stiff. Start by lying on your side with a couple yoga blocks underneath your ribs. You can put a sandbag or a heavy bag on the top side of your body. Both of these implements are going to create that squeezing force on the side of the ribs. Take a nice slow 5-count breath in through the nose and a soft 5-count exhale through the mouth. Hang out in this position for as little as 2 minutes all the way up to 5 minutes. And you can do this on both sides. Well, this creates the basic opening we need to create that rotation needed for those who are hella stiff. You also got to learn how to move. And in this group in particular, you want to learn how to move segments independently. A lot of times when these people are walking, they're kind of walking and turning like a refrigerator. We want to defrigerate yourself and get you to move segmentally. A great place for this is lying on your side with a foam roller between your shins. Get your hips into about 90 degrees of flexion. Hands will be atop one another. You're going to quietly nasal breathe during this activity. As you do, you want to move as slow and relaxed as humanly possible. Think about dragging your hand along your arm, then across your chest. This will cause the rest of your body to move, including the hips. Once your hips stop moving, you're going to go back to the start, this time leading with the knee. So it's roll back with the arm, roll forward with the knee. Watch the mistake of over-rotating with the trunk, because when you do this, you end up producing most of the motion in the middle of the back, which is going to limit your ability to get them upper body gains. Do this roll for 2 to 5 minutes per side. So you've opened up space, you've learned how to rotate, but now you got to be able to apply it in standing. I like these German arm swings for this. Stand with your feet flat on the ground, knees bent, kind of in an athletic stance. And what you'll do is you're just going to swing your arms from side to side, making sure your head goes along for the ride. Your arms should be completely relaxed, almost like that tube guy that you see when you go buy a car. The biggest mistake people make is keeping the arms way too stiff. I'll also see people over-rotate through the feet. You want to keep them flat on the ground. And don't go too far if you're the person who tends to arch. Work in a range where that's minimized. Try 2 to 3 sets of 10 rotations per side. But if you really want to reduce tension, you got to be able to stay relaxed under load. A rotational cable press is great for this. Grab the cable and start with it reached out in front of you. Looking straight ahead, soft and relaxed at the knees. You're going to inhale, slowly let the cable return back to the start. Exhale, press it out in front of you. As you press, make sure you're letting your entire body rotate to complete the action. Don't make the mistake of arching your back as you reach forward or not turning the hips whatsoever. Try 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps per side. Now, sometimes if you're that person who's opened up some space after being hella stiff, you might fall into one of the other archetypes. The next one we'll talk about is the arched archetype. Remember, it has limitations in the Apley's test and push up, usually arched during. For these arched folks, we want to work on shifting their weight backwards so that way you have better rotational capabilities both in the upper and lower body. An easy place to start is lying on your back with your feet together and knees apart. Keep the hips at about 90 degrees. Don't have your hips flexed beyond that, because if you do, chances are you're going to be creating most of the rotation through your back. That's going to limit the amount of rotation that we can gain in the upper body. If you're the person who tends to be arched and your waistband is way off the ground, straighten your knees out a little bit. This is going to counterweight you, so that way the waistband area stays flat. Get your palms up like you're holding a casserole and lift it into the microwave. You're going to have your arms at about 120 degrees of shoulder flexion. Take a slow 5-count breath in through the nose. Then do a soft 5-count exhale through the mouth. As you do this, you're going to reach the arms upward at that 120-degree angle. Maintain this reach position and breathe as we talked about before for 3 sets of 60 seconds. To kick it up a notch, we want to be able to reduce that arched position in less of a weight-bearing activity. Flipping to your stomach actually has you fighting against gravity. Gravity is going to try to get you in that arched position, but it's up to you to resist. Get on hands and knees with your hands ahead of your shoulders. You can put your feet up against the wall for an added effect. Take a quiet breath in through the nose. During the exhale, press the base of the wrist and your knees down into the ground. You can also press your feet into the wall. This should cause your torso to raise up as one piece. Make sure you don't underpress with the legs, because a lot of times you might stay arched, or if you overpress with the upper body, you might crunch. Both of those will limit the mobility gains that you can get from this movement. Hang out in this position for 3 sets of 60 seconds. And if by some chance that move is too easy, You can lift the knees up. Just make sure that your body stays parallel to the ground. Hold that position for 3 sets of 60 seconds. Once you've mastered shifting your weight backwards and reducing the arch, you got to learn how to rotate in that new position. Using a Swiss ball to maintain ab tension is great for this. Get on your back with a Swiss ball or an exercise ball between your knees and hands. Apply about a 3 to 4 out of 10 pressure into it with both your hands and your legs. If you notice it's a little too much hip flexor, just press a little bit more with your hands, a little bit less with your legs. Take a breath in through the nose. During the exhale, you're going to rotate so that way you're weight bearing on your upper back and the waistband area. Hold that position, take a quiet breath in through the nose. Exhale, go the other way. The biggest mistake that people make on this is over-rotating, or they end up losing pressure into the ball. And you do that, then you don't rotate as one piece. You end up rotating too much at the legs or too much with the arms. Continue to rotate in that position, exhaling while you're moving, inhaling while you're holding position for 3 sets of 8 to 10 rotations per side. To seal the deal, you got to be able to move some weight in your upper body without arching. I love a seated landmine press for this. Grab a barbell and make sure that your knuckles are pointing towards the ceiling. That way the bar stays on the base of the wrist. You can grab the base of the bar if you got smaller hands. Back should be flat against the bench. Take a breath of air in through the nose. On the exhale, reach the weight forward. Inhale back, exhale, reach forward. The biggest mistakes I see people make on this is arching during the reach. You can fix this by making sure that your back stays flat into the bench. Another issue I see is people losing wrist contact at the bottom, especially the pinky side of the wrist. You want to make sure that that stays glued to the bar throughout. Do this exercise for 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions per side. But maybe the arch person wasn't you. You might have been that person who's been on that World of Warcraft bender for 36 hours and just finished your 3rd Mountain Dew. If that's you, you're going to love what I got in store. The big thing that this person needs to address is, aside from opening up the chest, taking care of our dear friend rectus damn near cildus abdominis. This muscle attaches to the bottom of the sternum and it pulls you down whoosh, like that. That causes the head to jut forward and it gives you that rounded shoulder appearance. So if you can't get that to let go, your head will stay in that position and your shoulder mobility will stay limited. Problems ensue. You can get this muscle to relax by lying on your stomach with your head turned to one side. Have the same side arm and leg out to the side. If your neck's a little uncomfortable, you can turn your head down toward the ground so that way more of your forehead is touching the ground as opposed to your temple. Also, make sure that the leg isn't too high up because then you can tend to arch your back in this position. That will limit the mobility gains that we want with this exercise. Take a slow 5-count breath in through the nose and do a soft 5-count exhale through the mouth. As you're exhaling, press your inner knee, your inner elbow, and the base of your wrist into the ground at about a 2 to 4 out of 10 effort. Maintain that pressure and slowly breathe like I talked about before for 3 sets of 60 seconds per side. You then want to learn how to keep the front side open as you rotate. You can stay facing down because that's going to cause gravity to push the guts forward and air into the front of the chest. That's going to keep this open, which will reduce that World of Warcraft posture. Have your arms overhead, legs completely relaxed. Take a breath in through the nose. During the exhale, you're gonna reach your arm up. As you're doing that, you want your eyes to follow your arm. This is gonna cause your body to rotate eventually to your back. If you find yourself pushing a lot with your legs, you can kick your leg out to the side, just like we did for the last exercise. Inhale at the start and then exhale as you're performing the roll. Make sure to keep your arm well above 90 degrees of abduction. Big mistake people make is letting that arm drop down. That's actually going to limit your ability to rotate to your back. Try 3 sets of 6 to 10 rolls per side. To maximize length in those front side muscles that are keeping you in that posture, working on a back bridge can be a great activity. Problem, it's challenging for most people. That's where I like doing a variation on a Swiss or exercise ball. So bend over that ball, let your head dip backward comfortably, and get your hands flat on the ground. You're gonna get a little bit of pressure through the base of the wrist and the feet. Maintain this pressure and slowly breathe like we did for the other exercises for 3 sets of 60 seconds. Just make sure your elbows don't flare out excessively when you're in this position. If that's you, you might consider bringing your arms in a little closer, or you could even use push-up handles to create the same pressure. Now, the big key, once you've gained all that motion, is to now work your upper body musculature without over-engaging this stuff. One of my favorite ways to do this is with a Powell raise. The place I like doing this is on an inclined bench. Lie on your side with a weight in your hand. Roll that weight forward. Take a breath very in through the nose. On the exhale, you're gonna lift the arm up, keeping it above 90 degrees of abduction. Inhale, back to the start. The big mistakes that people make on this is either over-rotating with the trunk or letting the arm drop below 90 degrees. Make sure to keep your arm above 90 degrees and reach it long throughout. That way it maximizes the shoulders working and can keep those front muscles nice and relaxed. Try 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps per side. Now, it's not uncommon at this point, especially if you've done some of the other exercises before, to be asymmetrical. And I'm talking, you're limited on ER on one side, and the opposite side is limited on internal rotation. If this is you, we're basically going to reverse engineer that and go in the opposite direction. One of the best places to start is lying on your side with the arm limited in internal rotation, holding a weight. So it's going to be away from the ground. Your arm should be in the handshake position with your eyes looking up toward the hand. You're going to inhale and then roll to your back. As you do this, change your hand from the handshake position to the fist bump position. Then exhale, roll back to the start. Inhale, roll to your back. Exhale, roll to your side. The biggest mistake that I see people make is having the arm too far back. This is going to limit the internal rotation gains you can get on that side. Try 3 sets of 6 to 10 rolls on the side that's limited in internal rotation. You can progress the difficulty by getting more weight bearing through the downside arm. Again, the side that's limited in internal rotation should be on top. Have your bottom hip less than 90 degrees of hip flexion, with the top foot in front of the bottom ankle. Roll your body forward as a unit. This should get a little bit of weight through the outer knee and the base of the wrist. Take a slow breath in through the nose. During the exhale, use the outer knee, the base of the wrist, and the elbow to push your trunk up as a unit. You want to make sure that you're not sagging or side bending too far. To do that, pair that press with an exhale. If you find that you have a difficult time getting the wrist points or the knee, you can fix this by putting ramps underneath your hip and your elbow. Also watch over-rotating to get those points. You want it to be gentle and done as one piece. Top arm is going to be reaching at about 110, 120 degrees of shoulder flexion. Take a slow 5-count breath in through the nose and a soft 5-count exhale through the mouth throughout this exercise, keeping pressure on the downside at about a 3 to 4 out of 10 effort. Hang out here for 3 sets of 60 seconds. Now, of course, to master minimizing asymmetry, we got to be able to move under load. A high to low press is great for this. You want to work the side that's restricted in external rotation. Get a cable in the high position and start at the bottom. Should be about 60 degrees of shoulder flexion. Keep the hand open. The opposite leg should be out in front. Inhale, slowly let the cable come back. Exhale, punch down towards the ground, letting your whole body rotate back and forth as you're doing this motion. The biggest mistake people make is as they're reaching, they'll end up crunching the trunk. That's going to limit your ability to offset the asymmetry. Try 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions on the side that's limited in external rotation. Now, if you've also been struggling with problems in your lower body, then I would check out this video here. It goes through the exact same process we did in this video, just the lower body edition.